The hottest penny stock in the game right now, Ideanomics, baby. What is happening, investors? It is your boy Jack. I am not a financial advisor. Look, I got the clothing line to prove that fact. And today we are speaking about Ideanomics. Ticker symbol IDEX went up 28% on Friday, is currently up over 37% pre-market. It's getting pretty crazy. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say I'm jumping on the hype of this one. Look, they've been on my radar for months and months. We've spoke about these in the Discord for a considerable period of time. As soon as I saw this move, there was one guy in particular I thought of. That's you, Barnsey. Barnsey's going to be eating good today, I'll put it that way. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make this video for a little bit longer, because I actually have been researching these guys for a considerable period of time. Now, I want to give 2 points of views in today's video. I want to give the point of view of a long-term investor, somebody who actually plans on buying this stock and holding it for, let's say, at least more than a year. And I also want to give the point of view of a day trader or a swing trader, because I think there could be money to be made for both kinds of investors / traders right now. Obviously, when you see this sort of price action, when you see a stock going up over 60% in a span of 2 days, that's pretty crazy. So in order to do these things, we're going to have a look at the stock chart, we're going to have a look at the price action, we're going to have a little bit of a look at their most recent investor presentation, which only came out in September. We'll have a look at some Q4 updates. And what I really want to do today, guys, okay, is I want to speak about their financials. I want to speak about their cash. I want to speak about how long that potentially could last. I want to speak about assets to liabilities. And this brings up one of my biggest concerns in the company in the short term. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get into that later on. So right before we get into the video, my friends, can I please ask you to hit that juicy like button? Helps your boy out with the YouTube algorithm. I really would appreciate it. Drop me a comment down below. I'm interested. Are any of you guys in this company? How many of you got in below $1 a share? And please, my friend, if you are indeed new around here, hit that juicy red subscribe button. Join the family of investors. What are you waiting for? You're playing yourself. And if you are interested in joining my private Discord group, hit that first link in the description, baby. Sign up to my Patreon. You get full access to that private Discord group. You get my buy and sell alerts, and you'll have known about a company like this for months and months now. And last, but certainly not least, if you want 4 free stocks valued up to $1,600, hit the second link in the description, sign up to Webull, deposit $100. I mean, it's free money. I mean, let's just start off with recent price action. Obviously, Friday up 28%, got a lot of people very excited. Pre-market today, we're up about 37%. Now, I am recording this about 4 hours before the market goes open, so obviously a lot can happen in that period of time. And guys, I have to say, when I started looking at this stock chart, I'm trying to be really critical here. The price action's been okay. I mean, there was a very prolonged stage of consolidation right down here. I mean, we kind of have some sort of a support made at 80, and there was a resistance somewhere right around 103. And guys, I feel like 103 could now be a support. Look what happened. They gapped up above it. They came and retested that line of resistance, and then they went on this huge run to the upside. Now, there are a couple of things I noticed right off the bat. There's this here, but this isn't a gap, guys. I mean, there was price action here. It doesn't look very pretty, but it's not technically a gap. It doesn't have to be filled. But I do think the odds of us coming back down somewhere around here could be considerable. Now, obviously, we're all the way up at 212 pre-market. Our previous high right about here was actually 175. So, I mean, that's going to create a very large gap in this company. But we're going to have to wait and see where the market actually does open. Now, the MACD is extremely bullish right now, guys, okay? To me, it looks ever so slightly overbought, despite the fact that it's so bullish. The last time we even got close to these levels, okay, we went on a huge sell-off, and now we're above those previous levels. But anyway, more on price action later. A little bit from the investor presentation. We're not going to spend too long here, okay? The overview, just in case you guys are quite new to this company. They're focused on facilitating the adoption of commercial electric vehicle by fleet operators. On their own website, under their mission statement, it says this: we combine deal origination and enablement with the application of technology such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and others as part of the next generation of smart financial services. So they provide full service procurement and financing services to fleet operators, then market charging and energy services to our customer base. They're a US company, headquartered in New York, but they have offices in Beijing, wherever that is. Operations in the US, China, Ukraine, and Malaysia. So they go on to speak about the global commercial vehicle opportunity in regards to EVs. I think if you're on this channel, you know about this. We expect a lot of the world to be EV by 2030, and pretty much most of the world by 2040. So in addition to replacing fleets by 2040, global small van and truck demand to increase 50%, global heavy goods transport demand to increase 57%, and global municipal e-bus fleet to grow 300%. So a few things these guys have done this year: achieved deliveries and revenues despite the virus, which we're going to get into, developed robust order pipeline, cash at the end of June 2020 was about 34 million. We're going to get into that cash position now because this is one of my concerns in all honesty. Soft opening of the MEG Centre in Cundeo, launch of Medici Motorworks, progress on divesting non-core assets, again something we need to speak about a little bit, and reduce the company debt by about 50%. Goals for the second half: execute on deliveries and revenues from existing orders, obviously important. Bring additional dedicated financing sources online, continue developing diversified order pipeline, develop battery as a service partners, and begin building of a North American EV supply chain. Now look, I want to speak about the Q3 report and I want to compare it to the Q2 report. So revenues for the 3 months ended September 30th, okay? $10.6 million, an increase of 2.3 times compared to the second quarter of 2020. Strong cash position, okay, finished the quarter with $27.6 million. If I bring you back to their Q2 report, okay, they finished that quarter with $36 million. So they went through about $8.4 million in cash. Run some simple numbers, expect that capital expenditure is going to go up over the preceding couple of quarters. Share dilution is going to be, in my opinion, absolutely inevitable. So this is where we're looking at it from a long-term investor. Somebody like me who's not actually invested in the company yet, but is considering it. After I see a 60% run up, you know, is it too late for me to buy? Should I just open a position, or should I have some patience? If I do believe that there will be share dilution, there will be new shares issued, especially when a company goes up in value so quickly. I mean, we all know it, guys. We've all seen it dozens and dozens of times with all of our favorite companies, small cap, penny stocks, big stocks, blue chip stocks. They all do it when we go on a really nice run up. That's time to raise capital. And that's why people would often refer to a company with a market cap such as IDEX, a market cap of 368 million. As of today, it's going to be closer maybe to 450, 500 million, but they would be very easy to manipulate. And that's why a lot of these companies get pumped and dumped. Now, I'm not saying I expect that to happen with IDEX. And I have to say, guys, I do like the company. I want to make that very clear. I really like the company, but I want to be objective, okay? And I want us to make money ultimately. So revenue went up quite nicely in Q3, but we still burned through quite a considerable amount of cash. Now we're going to go through some of the news later on, but what I want to do is just go down to the balance sheets. So cash and equivalents, 27,605,000. Q2, that was 36,384,000. So current assets now are at 35.5 million. Previously they were at 42.5 million. Now do note that the large majority of their current assets is in cash and equivalents, which is actually something I like to see personally. It makes it easier to do things like this. They recently announced a definitive agreement to acquire Temeo's Holding Corp. Again, we'll get into that in a little bit. Now, when it comes to our total assets, we're at 138 million, which looks fantastic. It really, really does. The majority of our current assets, okay, are intangible, okay? Then there's goodwill, which is also intangible. And then there's long-term investments. Their property and equipment is only at $165,000. So simply put, our long-term assets here, it's fine, but I don't think they're going to be able to dilute literally any of this to support their current asset position, which I don't think is up to par. Now, if we go to our current liabilities, it's at 29,735,000. Keep in mind, current assets are at 35.5 million. So it's a fine ratio, but it's not fantastic. But guys, if you actually read what the current liabilities consist of: convertible promissory note due to third parties, promissory note short term, all of that has the potential to bring the share price down lower. Now, it's not definite, but it has the potential to do so. If we look at this, convertible, redeemable, preferred stock, and redeemable non-controlling interest. As of December 31st, 2019, there was 7 million Series A shares issued and outstanding. Liquidation and deemed liquidation preference of 3.5 million as of September 30th, 2020. I see more of this happening, and I don't think it's going to be a long time before we see this share dilution. I mean, guys, literally 60% in 2 days. That's not normal. That's a good time for a company like IDEX, who's in a good position but not a great position, to raise more capital, to put them in a better long-term position, which for a long-term investor can be a good thing, but it can also, of course, lead to a sharp pullback in this short term. We've seen it many times, guys. Everybody knows about NNDM right now. How many times have you seen it with them over the last month and a half? It's what these companies do, and there's nothing wrong about it. I'm just looking for a really nice entry point. And guys, keep in mind, this is also presuming that you have conviction on this company, that you have done your due diligence, done your research. I mean, when I'm looking at a penny stock, I have to feel really convicted to be willing to put any decent of money into it. As I've said, I've been researching these guys on and off for literal months now, and I'm still not fully convinced in regards to what I plan on doing. What I will say is, I'm leaning more so to the side of potentially opening a small position, but I haven't bought anything yet. One thing worth noting, EPS much better quarter over quarter from last year. However, the 9 months end from last year, they were actually positive in EPS. So I'm not going to hold this against them, not whatsoever, and it's definitely not a bad result, but worth understanding. So there is a few more things I'd like to speak about, okay? One of these, prospectus supplement number 3, an SEC filing. So the prospectus is dated July 17th, but the supplement is dated November 12th, and this is essentially them selling off 30.8 million shares of common stock. This is to YA2PN Limited, a Cayman Islands exempt limited partnership, at a price of about 97 cents per share. Now this is not new, this has been known about for a while, but I see more things like this happening forwards, more share dilution. That's what I'm trying to get at. And again, that's not necessarily a bad thing long term, but short term it can lead to a big dip. Now I want to speak about this again, their definitive agreement to acquire Timeo's Holding Corp. So they're essentially a leading title and settlement solutions provider, okay? They currently have 285 employees and operations in 44 states. They've booked over $60 million in year-to-date revenues, including over $8 million in October 2020. Surely that cannot be a cheap acquisition. And again, if we just go to another one of these boring SEC filings, we can see that Ideanomics has agreed to acquire 100% of the outstanding capital stock of Timeo's for approximately $40 million. 27 million on the balance sheet, acquiring these guys for 40 million. Does that add up, guys? Now again, I don't think this is a bad thing. In fact, I think this is one of the biggest catalysts they have going for them right now. In the long term, or even in the medium term, or even in 2 months, 3 months time, just not this moment in time. And this is just one of those situations where I think risk management is absolutely key. Because guys, I'm toying with the idea of buying some shares right now. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not. On Friday, I was looking into these guys quite heavily when we were at 150 a share. And I thought, you know, it's relatively speculative. How much am I realistically going to be willing to buy in these guys? And I was looking at about 2,000 shares. And I was heavily contemplating doing that on Friday. I never pulled the trigger. Right now, I think the price in the short term is going to be inflated. If I am to buy some of this company, I more than likely will only open up about 1/4 of the overall position I would like to have, which would be about 500 shares, which in the grand scheme of my portfolio, it's not going to be the biggest position out there whatsoever. I want you guys to treat this as a penny stock. I want you guys to treat this as a speculative investment at least for another few weeks. I mean, I want to make money as much as the next guy, and I know we see these shiny penny stocks, and they go up 28% one day, they go up 27% the next day, they're up 40% the next day, and it's exciting. It's really, really exciting. We have a very small market cap, guys. Let's remember that. It's at a 386 million. As of market open today, that's going to be closer to 450 to 500 million. That's still a very small market cap. That's easily manipulated. I do still think this company has a lot to prove. Now, don't get me wrong. I really like the look of them. That should be made clear by the fact I'm contemplating investing in them. I just want to stress the fact I do still think this is a very high risk in this short term. I think we're going to see more 30, 40 and 50% movements up and down. The important bit is and down. A lot of people just get green eyes. They can only see this company going up to $5 and $10. There is many reasons I see why this company could go down in this short term. So just make sure when it comes to investing in a penny stock such as this one, you have done your research, you've done your due diligence, and you have conviction. As I said, I've been looking at these guys on and off for a couple of months, and you know, I'm still kind of on the fence. I understand you want the good cost basis. I understand you want to be able to brag to people in a few months. Think about me, guys. I'm a YouTuber. I wish, like, if a company goes up to $10 and I say I bought them at $150, I'm good. But I think it's more important to be a relatively smart investor. So that's kind of where I stand with the company right now. I'm still contemplating buying 500 shares or so. Mine's not completely made up. If you want to know if I do, join the Patreon, you will find out. Price points of interest, okay? We have 80 cents. I don't really see that happening anymore. I think we can forget about that, to be completely honest. Not that it's outside the realms of possibility, but I don't think that's where we should be looking. Now, the first real point I'm looking at is 103, okay? You can see there's a lot of price action here. It was an area of resistance. We shot up above it, we came down, we tested the area of resistance, and we went on a nice run up. In my opinion, 103 is now an area of support. Now again, doesn't guarantee we're going to come back down to there whatsoever. It's just a price point I want you guys to be aware of. Keep in mind we're looking at a penny stock, and before this big move happens today, this would have only been, what, a 30% downside? Which for a penny stock, come on, that's a daily move. So I know when we're at $2, dropping all the way down here might seem absolutely crazy. There's possibility there. The next area I'm kind of looking at is right around here, right about 120. Look at all of the price action, guys. I know there's been a lot the last couple of days, but even back here, and I'm sure if we go back further, there's a whole lot of price action. So again, this just gets a little bit more realistic. I wouldn't call this an area of support or an area of resistance. It's just an area of interest. Now again, I don't really think this needs to be considered a gap, but still, keep an eye there. And aside from that, guys, not much price action to go off, you know. I'm looking to see what happens with this company next week, you know. You don't have to take every opportunity that's thrown at you. There's always going to be potential to get into companies nice and early. Just make sure if you're thinking about investing, you have that conviction that I've said so many times in this video. I mean, I want to make money as much as the next guy, but I also want to feel comfortable in my investments. So for me, if I open a position, maybe I'll have 500 shares. If I go down 50%, boo-hoo, it's not the end of the world. But anyway guys, that is my video on Ideanomics. Now, I know I didn't really go too in depth on the company and what they actually do. That's not what today's video was meant to be about. If you want a video like that, just hit that juicy like button and drop me a comment down below. Let me know, because I do plan on doing a deep dive soon if the interest is there. If you are indeed new around here and you enjoyed today's video and took some value and would like to see more videos, please hit that subscribe button and join the family of investors, my friend. And if you are interested in getting my buy and sell alerts and access to over 40 private channels with over 450 investors, hit that first link in the description. And last, but certainly not least, if you want free money, hit the second link in the description, sign up to Webull, deposit $100. Really is that simple. Anyway, my friends, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic day. I will see you for another video very soon. Peace.